My name is Jonathan Teubner. My main academic affiliation is as research fellow at the Australian Catholic University's Institute for Religion and Critical Inquiry. Since 2022, and up until for a few more years, I have been and will be a visiting faculty member at the Human Flourishing Program at Harvard University's Institute for Quantitative Social Science. Humanizing Networks Symposium is very important because of principally its convening power right now, that its placement at the Vatican within this institution that is not in the middle of the battle between states and companies, where a lot of the technological decisions and policies and stakes are kind of transacted and waged on a day-to-day basis right now. And the Humanizing Networks is a place that you can step outside of that, can bring leaders from all the sectors together to talk in an area that also has this tradition of rich and meaningful discussion and discourse of thinking about how we as humans should be collectively associating with each other, as well as the ways in which our collective visions of the common good can shape our policies, our companies, and our lives for the better. We're still struggling with trying to understand whether what we see out there going on in technology, particularly social media, or a lot of emerging issues and problems and dangers from artificial intelligence, are those the symptom of something, or are they the cause of something? We're largely right now focused on symptoms. And where we need to be moving is kind of getting at those root causes about why we are producing this type of technology that is fragmenting us, that is causing trouble to form social solidarities, that is like then rippling through our whole system. From my perspective, the most pressing ethical challenges that are coming out are, and this is a little bit kind of unusual to frame it this way, but our biggest ethical challenge is underestimating what humans are. Is like thinking about that we are just like walking calculators. And so our biggest ethical challenges is understanding ourselves as humans, understanding ourselves as created in the image of God, understanding ourselves as unique beings out here that can't be reduced to some, like the image I used was a walking calculator. We're just like, making these calculations. And a lot of the ethical challenges that we see on the horizon have to do with minimizing or reducing who humans are, who we've been created to be, who we can be. And those are the more fundamental problems that I don't think are actually addressed on a day-to-day basis in this conversation. Yes, there are a lot of things coming down the pipeline about the weaponization of technology, about whether or not this is going to overtake us, that machines are going to somehow rule us. I'm not as concerned about those issues, partly because I have a higher view of what humans are. Some of these problems that we're thinking about as problems with the social media platform are deeply related to having it in your hand, having it immediate access to it wherever you go. And so the social media might not be so bad as if you had to sit down arduously, log onto a computer and only look at it through there. But once you have it in your hand and you can like type a response on the, on your commute home, or while you're waiting for your kid to come out, or all these other things, you're finding people who are responding at places where they're not really at their best. And so I think that's part of like where I've been kind of trying to reposition technology in my own life is when's the right time for technology to enter into, particularly those engagements where I'm now presenting myself to the world. I don't want to do this at like the shoulders of the day, these kind of edges where I'm tired or I'm not going to be responding well. And So it's kind of thinking more about when's the right time to engage, where, along those lines. And I think I'm much more attuned to those issues now than I was before I founded a company that started to look at, for example, propaganda on the internet. The Catholic Church, the Catholic tradition, more broadly, can help guide some of these questions by pushing them and reminding people in those discussions about the more fundamental issues, about who we are as humans, what we want to be, and what we want our societies to look like, what they should be looking like, what were they created for. Some of those questions that are largely set aside, not because people think they're unimportant, is because they forget to ask the question. We are awash in ethical guidelines around technology right now, but we lack a lot of fundamental questions to remind people who are making key decisions to think about, what are these things that are at the end of this? Who are your users? What are they like? What's the society that you want to care for? The symposium was an opportunity to bring in experts from a large range of sectors, from nonprofit, from academia, from industry, and from government as well, and to kind of get their insight about what's at stake, what's the problem here. And now that we have some sense about how this larger community is thinking about it, and we've done this convening, now it's going into more of a research intensive phase, where we're going to be finding scholars and some senior and very seasoned practitioners to reflect on that, to think about ways in which we can find our way to re-embedding technology back in society, thinking more about what is the vision of the human there, and how is a more robust and true vision of the human challenged by artificial intelligence. And then I think that's really kind of a second stage. And then after that, I think the hard work begins of engaging with a whole range of stakeholders, whether those are government policymakers who are trying to look at new policies for that, people in companies who set company cultures around it, investors who often play a massive role in setting the incentives for what a company will end up doing, and as well as instructing families how to deal with children and adopting technology as one of the key areas of kind of moving forward that we're going to need to care about.